Welcome to Today Update. Please subscribe and check notification box to get all breaking news alert. Democrats and former officials in the administrations of Presidents Barack Obama and George W. Bush administrations are up in arms over reports that President Donald Trump personally interviewed U.S. attorney candidates in a trio of jurisdictions that could directly affect him. "I never heard of a president interviewing a U.S. attorney candidate," Richard Painter, a University of Minnesota law professor who served as Bush's chief ethics lawyer, told Business Insider. Politico reported this week that Trump interviewed candidates for the Southern and Eastern District of New York, citing sources. Trump reportedly interviewed Jeffrey Berman, who works at the same law firm as former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, for the vacancy in the Southern District of New York, the spot vacated by former U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara. In the Eastern District of New York, Trump interviewed Ed McNally, who works at the law firm headed by Mark Cassavetes, Trump's former top lawyer in handling special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. These are individuals that the president nominates and the Senate confirms under Article 2 of the Constitution, a White House official told Politico. "We realize Senate Democrats would like to reduce this president's constitutional powers. But he and other presidents before him and after may talk to individuals nominated to positions within the executive branch." File photo: U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York Preet Bharara speaks during a Reuters newsmaker event in New York City, U.S., July 13, 2016. Reuters, Brendan McDermott. File photo: Preet Bharara. Thomson Reuters. The Southern District of New York is home to Trump Tower, the Trump Organization, and several prominent Trump properties. It was where the Trump campaign was headquartered, and where a controversial June 2016 meeting of a Russian lawyer, Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, and then campaign chairman Paul Manafort took place. Trump initially told Bharara during the transition period that he could stay on in his post, but subsequently fired him in March, along with dozens of other U.S. attorneys. The publication reported that documents submitted to the Senate Judiciary Committee earlier this year showed that Trump met with Jesse Liu, his nominee for U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. That's another spot that could have implications over a number of Trump-related prosecutorial decisions, including any findings of the Mueller probe. Liu has already been confirmed to the post. "I understand that he's personally interviewed the potential applicants for U.S. Attorney in Manhattan and Brooklyn and one in Washington, D.C., which happen to be places where Donald Trump has property and assets and companies, and not interviewed personally U.S. attorneys for other positions," Bharara told CNN Wednesday. "I think that reasonably raises a number of questions." He later tweeted that it is neither normal nor advisable for Trump to personally interview candidates for U.S. Attorney, particularly in the Southern District of New York. Trump has not interviewed other U.S. Attorney candidates he nominated, Politico reported, citing Democrats who have been asking that of all nominees. U.S. attorneys are subject to what is known as the blue slip process in the Senate Judiciary Committee, which gives home state senators the power to block a nominee from moving forward in the committee. That means Democratic Senators Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand could prevent Trump's nominee in either of those two New York jurisdictions from getting a vote. Trump has already nominated 40 people for vacant U.S. attorney slots, moving quickly to fill the many voids. But he has largely avoided nominated U.S. attorneys in states with Democratic senators such as New York. File photo: Senator Richard Blumenthal, D.C.T., questions Supreme Court nominee Judge Neil Gorsuch during his Senate Judiciary Committee confirmation hearing on Capitol Hill in Washington, U.S., March 21, 2017. Reuters, Joshua Roberts. File photo: Senator Richard Blumenthal. Thomson Reuters. To be very blunt, these three jurisdictions will have authority to bring indictments over the ongoing special counsel investigation into Trump campaign collusion with the Russians and potential obstruction of justice by the President of the United States, Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal told Politico. For him to be interviewing candidates for that prosecutor who may in turn consider whether to bring indictments involving him and his administration seems to smack of political interference. Blumenthal mentioned the interviews during a congressional hearing with Attorney General Jeff Sessions earlier this week. Sessions said he was not sure whether Trump interviewed for the New York vacancies, but if you say so, I assume so. And he has the right to, for sure, because he has to make an appointment, and I assume that everybody would understand that, he continued. Matthew Miller, a former Justice Department spokesman in the Obama administration, said the former president never interviewed a U.S. attorney candidate. "Trump is trying to breach the DOJ wall, plain and simple," he tweeted. Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein of California, the ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, said in a statement Thursday that there's no reason for Trump to be meeting with candidates for those vacancies.